Democratic strategists are super, super bitter about the fact that Ed Markey beat his primary challenger, Joe Kennedy, for the Senate seat in Massachusetts. Now, Ed Markey is the incumbent, and he is someone who has embraced the left. But it turns out that Democratic strategists who usually get paid to fail don't understand that concept. And that was clear in some reporting in Politico. So first off, let's just quickly focus on how badly Joe Kennedy lost. Kennedy lost every precinct in East Boston Tuesday. His campaign was too confident for too long. It didn't think the usual rules applied, or that the 74-year-old Markey had enough fight in him to fend off one of the Democratic Party's brightest young stars. Well, I guess he was wrong. So what did the Democratic strategists have to say about it? Well, one was quoted as saying, of course, anonymously, the Markey campaign did a masterful job convincing voters Ed is someone he is not. One other Kennedy ally was quoted as saying, this goes to show you that the left doesn't do their homework and they're easily won over by bright, shiny objects. Now, of course, Ed Markey, I mean, I like the guy. I wouldn't refer to him as a bright, shiny object. He's been in office since 1976. Not in the Senate, he was in the House for a while, and he's 74 years old. I mean, I'm not trying to be ageist or anything, but he's been around for a while. He's not like a brand new young Congress member who's like a con artist. No, we know what his record is. Anyway.
Yeah, so let me jump in on that on a couple of fronts. So first of all, the assumption here is that Ed Markey is not really a progressive, and progressives were fooled into voting for him. Preposterous. So I've covered politics for 25 years. Do I know that Ed Markey has some issues? Did we talk about that on the show? Yes, he voted for the Iraq War, etc. But has Ed Markey been consistently, significantly more progressive than his counterparts? Yes, he has. And so, and did he do the most important thing, which is actually co-sponsor a Green New Deal in the Senate and stick his neck out and take a political risk to co-sponsor Green New Deal? Yes. So in fact, if you had any political sense at all, what you would say is the exact opposite. So here was a guy who was relatively progressive, who then became even more progressive before the election because he realized that young people and a lot of the voters actually want him to do progressive policies. And so he was smart about that. And then progressives, instead of looking at shiny objects, like, oh, 39-year-old Kennedy, rising star. I mean, if anything's a shiny,
like Joe Kennedy, yeah.
Joe Kennedy, right? Yeah. Instead of falling for that shiny object just because he's younger and Nancy Pelosi tells you he's a star, and because he raised $5 million and his last name is Kennedy, we instead looked at the policy. And look, even Politico, it's not just the consultants, the tenor of the article, they just cannot get it through their head that we care about policy. They find it inconceivable. It's not on a list of possible reasons for a win or a loss in an election. So they're like, oh, that's weird. That's weird. Why didn't they go for the younger guy? And we all told them to go for the younger guy, and they're young, and he's a Kennedy, and we have all these artificial boxes that he checked off. So why couldn't we trick them into voting for him? I'll tell you why.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can trick them because there's a thing called the internet.
Yes,
look
exactly.
Up those policies, and we actually care. In the old days, you're right, you could trick people because you would just go talk to the television anchors and the New York Times and Boston Globe, etc., and you would whisper in their ear, kill, that's it. Markey's the bad guy, Kennedy's the good guy. Never talk about policy. Tell everybody Markey's a has-been, and we have a young new star, and that would be that. And they're right, until very recently, that worked all of the time. Now, we don't give a damn what a stupid TV anchor says. And we know they're bought and paid, and they're part of the corporate media and the corrupt system. So, sad day for you. The younger generation and progressives are much smarter than you guys. So go cry.
Yeah, and oh God, yes, go cry. I love it. I love telling people to go cry. No, but like you're absolutely right, Cenk. So yes, the internet has a lot to do with it. Access to information has a lot to do with it. It's a lot more difficult to spread your pro whatever propaganda and convince people that a candidate is gonna do the right thing and carry out policies that are in your best interest. But also there's another element to it that I really want to touch on, and it's that sense of entitlement. Look, remember, the millennial generation was drilled into our heads, okay, since we were wee little ones, that if you work really hard, this is the land of opportunity, the American dream. Just go to school, do everything right. This is a meritocracy. You have to earn it, but you can do it, right? And we all did not all, but a lot of us, we did the right thing. We went to school, we got our education. A lot of us got graduate degrees. A lot of us did everything we were supposed to do, we decided to abide by everything. And then we find ourselves in this 2008 recession, and it becomes increasingly difficult to pay for college, to just do the basics, right? To buy a home. That's like incredibly difficult in America right now, especially if you're a millennial. It's nearly impossible if you're a Zoomer, okay? Generation Z. And so then Joe Kennedy shows up, and corporate Democrats are like, it's the dynasty. It's the dynasty. And the way he ran his campaign was like, I am entitled to this, right? He didn't say it overtly, but that was the whole tone of his campaign. And I want to read you one other excerpt from this piece. For a well-liked candidate accustomed to largely flattering coverage since his election to Congress in 2017, for example, Town and Country magazine ran a feature on the congressman under the headline, "Meet the Next President Kennedy." The inability to shape coverage came as a surprise. So the Kennedy campaign was irritated that the media didn't just like play ball, right? Which, by the way, there was a lot of favorable coverage toward him, but they got very salty when the Boston Globe didn't endorse him and endorsed Markey instead. And here's another excerpt. Kennedy had already lost his cash advantage over Markey months earlier after spending $2.4 million in television ads in the spring that failed to move the dial, a critical mistake, according to several allies. In the final months, Kennedy replaced his TV consultant. So he just thought like, I got some money, let me just buy up some TV ads. He didn't do the necessary campaigning. He thought that he had the media in the bag. He's like, yeah, the media's gonna endorse me. They love me. I'm rising superstar. Everything's great. No, like young people not only have the access to information, but we're super bitter when we've been told that this country is a meritocracy, and we've seen over and over and over again that it's not. And then you have this guy come in and think, dynasty. And he has a sense of entitlement, and it turned people off. And so the left is a lot smarter than these loser Democratic strategists think. We're awake and we're experiencing it. This is our life experience. This is our worldview because of what we've had to go through so far. And we want to change things. And if they don't like it, they can go ahead and cry about it.
So there's so many things I love in this story. When he assumes, well, I raised $5 million for the Democratic Party in the last cycle. Obviously, all of the media will be on my side. And by the way, most of the time that assumption is absolutely true. One of the reasons that it wasn't true in this race is progressives came in with a huge showing for Markey and shook the media. But another reason is because he was running against an incumbent. So the media, if it's a progressive challenger, it's easier to dismiss. They go, oh, please, they're not part of any dynasty. But in this case, Ed Markey has been around for 40 years in Massachusetts politics. So it was harder to brush him off. And so Kennedy miscalculated on that, but he assumed that the media would always be on the side of a corporate Democrat, which is normally a fair assumption. And so then, when Markey attacked his family name, they were just shell-shocked.
Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, and Nancy Pelosi came out and said, that's it. I mean, if you're gonna attack a dynasty, that's we elitists in the Democratic leadership, we take great umbrage in that. And she's like, I've worked with many members of the Kennedy family, including second cousin Patrick, okay? And that's why when Rebellion PAC ran an ad called Second Cousin Patrick, okay? And so, look, we had a small role in it because we got in late, but we maxed out to him. We ran ads for Markey against Kennedy. My favorite line, as I told you, was in Boston, we don't bow down at kings. We throw their crap in a harbor, okay? And so that resonated, rebellionpac.com. And so, but the Democratic leadership is so elitist in their core, they thought that people in Massachusetts, of all places, would bow down to royalty. Man, were they wrong, and I love that they were wrong. And now finally, now that the race is over, for one day on that election night, Alex Thompson from Politico tweeted about, oh my God, even Democratic consultants realize maybe you should embrace progressive policies and AOC. But as soon as the cloud clears, they're like, oh right, no, we were right for a second. Sorry about that. And one of the focuses of this article was that Kennedy lost because he ran his TV ads in the wrong month. That is not why he lost. You're amazing. It's amazing how wrong they are. So, but they're never gonna get it. Whether it's the national media or Democratic establishment, they're never going to wake up one day and go, oh right, we're the corrupt ones. No, they're gonna make excuse after excuse after excuse. But guys, there's great news in that, because if they're asleep at the wheel, we're gonna keep cleaning their clock. So let's go get them. If you thought 2018 was awesome with the squad winning, if you thought 2020 was good with squad 2.0 with Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Marie Newman, and so many others, and now Ed Markey beating their beloved Joe Kennedy and his millions of dollars, wait till you get a load of 2022. So hey, if you want to think, oh, it's all about the mechanics, man. If you run your ads in the right month, it'll all be okay. Have at it, Hoss. But it's going to be a reckoning in 2022.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.